Why don't more games use crossplay? There's a new game out on the market, and it seems like everyone is playing it. YouTubers are making tons of videos, and everything viral is talking about this new game. So you power on your console, you go to the store, and you grab a copy. Then you call up your friends, and you learn that they're all playing on PC, and the game doesn't support PC and console players playing together. So now you're frustrated. This game looks fun, but you wanted to play with your friends, and now you can't. So what gives? Why don't more games support crossplay? It's not like it's a new technology. Well, crossplay can be an extremely difficult thing to implement into a game. Not because the developers don't want to do it, but because there is so much to take into consideration when you allow a game to be crossplay. And just to clear up the term, when I talk about crossplay, I mean games that allow players on different gaming platforms to play together in a multiplayer environment. You can have different kinds of crossplay. For example, allowing Steam players and GOG players to play together in multiplayer is technically crossplay, but it's rarely the kind of crossplay people refer to when using that term. So for the rest of this video, when I refer to crossplay, I am referring to cross-platform crossplay. Let's also assume that the game has been released on all consoles and PC. Obviously, a game won't have crossplay with the Switch if it was never released on the Switch. And if that isn't obvious to you, then please go back to school and pay closer attention this time. Gaming hardware is the first factor that one must consider. A PlayStation 5 uses very different hardware than a Nintendo Switch. They have different buffer rates, memory loading, and frame rate speeds that the game will run at. A programmer has to reconcile these differences in real time if they are to allow crossplay between these two platforms. Depending on how the game is coded, this is easier said than done. Some hardware differences can be easy to handle. Take Minecraft as an example. Limiting the render distance in Minecraft can be a solution to allow it to function on the Switch, but then the PlayStation player also has to have a limited render difference, unless you fix that with extra code. But then the PlayStation player has an advantage over the Switch player. So the developer has to decide if that is an advantage that they are willing to keep in the game or not. Additionally, consoles have different requirements for version authentication. If you have crossplay, you need to ensure that all systems are running on the same version of the game. Steam will let you upload an update that's full of bugs, but Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo won't. They have more rigorous protocols for version authentication that can take weeks, sometimes even months. And one of them might find a problem that the others don't, and suddenly you have a certification delay with one or more platforms that prevents crossplay from functioning. This is often seen with Xbox games since Microsoft requires specific filters and naming conventions for some file structures, and these filters are not always compatible initially with how you programmed the game to run. This then requires more time and money to create alternate code to add compatibility and bridge the gap so that when Xbox references an item in the code, it is referencing the same item as Steam. And none of that even addresses the main issue: networking. Each console and PC distributor uses their own networking solution for multiplayer. Consoles even provide developers with networking packages that they can add to their games that will work within their console family. So a PlayStation 4 can connect to a PlayStation 5 with ease, just as an example. But if you want a PlayStation 4 to connect to an Xbox Series X, that's a different story. Neither Sony nor Microsoft provide network packages that allow for interconnection between the two. This forces the developer to code their own or buy a third-party bridge that connects them. And those bridges are rarely a one-time cost. It's not like the developer just pays $1,000 and gets a network bridge code. It's often licensed, which means monthly or annual fees to legally keep the code within your game. These costs can quickly get more expensive if the game is popular, as many of these licenses are based on the number of players. Take Palworld as an example. At one point, Palworld was paying upwards of $500,000 a month for their crossplay servers to ensure that they are always up and always fully compatible. And servers that are capable of supporting multiple console systems are expensive, like tens of thousands of dollars a month or more expensive. For most indie developers, this is simply not sustainable. Ask most game devs, and they will tell you that they would love to support crossplay if they could find a way to realistically do it. But it costs a lot of money. You're either paying a premium fee to buy someone else's work, or you're paying your own developers and taking time away from the game itself to add that support. When your company only has 2 to 5 programmers, you can't just easily pull them away from actually making the game to work on network compatibility. The delays it would cause to the game itself would just be unreasonable. Remember, not everyone that works at an indie developer is a programmer. You have artists, community managers, office managers, and many other positions that have nothing to do with programming. So a company with 20 people may only have 5 programmers on the team. But Dakon, I don't care. Terraria has crossplay, therefore all other games I play must have crossplay. Well, if that's your attitude, that's fine. But don't bring that shit here. I would remind you that even Terraria took 13 years after release to get crossplay, and Minecraft took over 10 years to get it. And Minecraft didn't really start doing it right until they had Microsoft money. But even if you do all of that, you shell out all the time and money to get all that code into your game, and you have a dedicated programmer or two ensuring that the code stays up to date and compatible across all platforms after every update, there can still be another issue. Publisher agreements. Sony, Nintendo, Microsoft, and many others all have specific requirements and contractual agreements for development companies. The agreement that the developer's management signed with Sony might be an exclusive one that prevents the game from being released on another platform. Or it may prevent crossplay because Sony's leadership team wants it to be the only ones that have access to the game. Or they specifically don't want crossplay to force you to buy a copy on their console. Never underestimate corporate greed. It will screw you every time. And let's not even get into governments. Government regulations on internet access can be even worse than dealing with corporate greed. So why don't more games like Core Keeper have full crossplay? Because it's a complicated mess and is often just too expensive to be worth the time for a small developer to do it. So let's cut all of our indie devs a little slack. They all want crossplay. Of course they do. It's just not always a realistic thing. But what is realistic is you hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel. Yeah, that was smooth. I'm good at outros. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay crazy, everybody.